Let me tell you something that no one has ever told you before. Something so brutally honest, so raw, that most people won't even be able to handle it. But if you can, it might just change your life forever. Women don't start disliking their husbands because of aging, boredom, or routine. No. It's something much deeper. Something more biological, more psychological, more practical. A woman doesn't fall in love with a man. She falls in love with his energy, his presence, his movement. It's not just about looks, money, or status. It's about the force he carries within him. When she looks at him, she doesn't just see a man. She sees potential. She sees a man who is going somewhere. A woman can feel a man's drive before he even speaks. His ambition is in his posture, in his eyes, in the way he moves through the world. She is drawn to the fire inside him, the restless hunger that refuses to settle, refuses to submit, refuses to be just another face in the crowd. That hunger is what electrifies her. That hunger is what pulls her in. When a woman meets a man, she is not just attracted to his present self. She is attracted to the future she sees in him. She doesn't just love who he is today. She loves the direction he is heading. His growth, his momentum, his relentless pursuit of something greater. She doesn't want a man who is standing still. She wants a man who is moving, accelerating, expanding. This is why powerful men with a mission, men who refuse to stay stagnant, never struggle with attraction. They don't chase women, because women can sense their energy and naturally gravitate towards them. These men are not needy, they are not desperate, they are focused. They are occupied with something bigger than her, and that is exactly what makes them irresistible. A woman does not want to be your purpose, she wants to witness your purpose. She wants to feel like she's stepping into the life of a man who is already on a path, already creating, already dominating his space. A man who doesn't need her, but a man who she wants to stand beside, because that man makes her feel something no average man can. Certainty. And certainty is the most attractive thing on this planet. A woman craves certainty the way a starving man craves food. When a man moves with absolute certainty, with conviction, with power, there is no resistance. A woman surrenders to that energy, not because she is weak, but because she is designed to follow the most dominant force in the room. Most men get this completely wrong. They think attraction is built through words, compliments, or gifts. They think it's about impressing a woman with money or status. But the truth is, a woman can feel when a man is lost. She can feel when he is uncertain, when he doubts himself, when he is not rooted in his own power. And that is when she starts to pull away. A man who lacks direction, who lacks purpose, who lacks the fire of ambition, he may still be in a relationship, but he has already lost the attraction. His woman may stay with him, but her desire will start to fade. She won't look at him the same way. She won't crave him the same way. Because that spark, the spark that made her admire him, that made her respect him, has died. And once a woman stops admiring you, once she stops seeing you as a man who is going somewhere, her love turns into tolerance. She stays, but she's not really with you. She's near you, but not connected to you. And one day, you'll look into her eyes and realize she doesn't see you the way she used to. This is why you can't fake this. You can't pretend to be a man with ambition. You can't pretend to be a man with power. A woman's intuition is too sharp. She can sense the truth. She can feel when a man is moving towards something great versus when a man is simply existing. Men who lack purpose, men who have no direction, are always the ones who struggle with women. They are always the ones asking, why does she seem distant? Why is she pulling away? Why doesn't she respect me anymore? Because she no longer sees a leader. She sees a man who has stopped moving. And the moment you stopped moving, you stop being attractive. A man's presence is everything. The way he walks into a room, the way he carries himself, the way he commands space. A woman is not just looking at your body, she's feeling your energy. And energy does not lie. You can be broke, you can have nothing, you can be at rock bottom, but if you have momentum, if you have drive, if you have the certainty that you are rising, she will feel it. And she will stay. But the moment you lose your fire, the moment you settle, the moment you start waking up every day just going through the motions, She will feel that too. She may not even realize it at first, but over time, it will creep in. A quiet disappointment, a slow, growing disconnection, and eventually, she will begin to resent you for it. This is what no one tells you. Women don't leave men because of age. They don't stop loving because of time. They stop loving because the man they once admired stopped evolving. He stopped becoming more. He stopped being the man she first fell in love with. The man who had a vision, the man who was going somewhere. So, if you want to keep a woman's attraction, if you want to make her look at you with that same hunger, that same admiration, that same craving, you must never stop moving forward. You must never become comfortable. You must never lose the fire that made her want you in the first place. Because the moment you become stagnant, predictable, dull, you become forgettable. And when a woman forgets why she fell for you in the first place, she starts to wonder if she made a mistake. You don't want that. Stay sharp, stay hungry, keep moving, keep growing, keep evolving, because the moment you stop, the moment you slow down, the moment you let life turn you into just another average man, you have already lost her. Attraction is not built in comfort. It is built in movement, in expansion, in dominance over one's own life. The moment a man stops evolving, he starts dying in the eyes of his woman. Stagnation is death to desire. It is the slow poison that turns admiration into tolerance, respect into disappointment, love into indifference. A woman does not wake up one day and decide to stop loving her man. It happens gradually, silently, invisibly. She watches as the man she once admired stops chasing his goals, stops improving himself, stops being the force of nature that first pulled her in. She watches as he gets comfortable, as he starts making excuses, as he settles for who he is rather than fighting for who he could become. And the more she watches, the more she loses respect, the more she disconnects. She doesn't want to leave at first. She fights with herself. She tells herself it's just a phase. She hopes he will wake up. She hopes he will see what she sees, that he is fading, that he is becoming predictable, ordinary, dull, but he doesn't see it. He doesn't feel the urgency. He assumes she will always be there. And that is his first mistake. A woman is not drawn to a man because of what he says. She's drawn to what he does. A man's actions, his discipline, his drive, this is what keeps her locked in. When a man has fire, when he has purpose, when he wakes up every day with hunger in his eyes, she feels safe. Not because he loves her, but because he commands himself. Because he refuses to let life turn him into a shadow of the man he once was. But when that fire dies, when he starts drifting through life, when he stops pushing himself, stops breaking his own limits, everything changes. She sees it before he does. She feels it before he even realizes what's happening. She starts looking at him differently. The small things that once made her smile now irritate her. His presence no longer excites her. She starts craving something more. And the most painful part? He doesn't even see it happening. He thinks everything is fine. He thinks love is enough. He doesn't realize that without movement, without evolution, love withers away. He doesn't realize that every day he chooses comfort over growth. He is silently losing the woman who once adored him. She starts to test him. She pushes his buttons. She challenges him in ways she never did before, not because she wants to fight, but because she is desperate to feel something from him. She is desperate to see if there is still a man inside him, or if he has truly become soft. And when he responds with weakness, when he becomes defensive, when he takes it personally instead of seeing the truth, her heart closes a little more. A man who stops growing is a man who starts losing. The problem is most men don't wake up until it's too late. They wait until she's emotionally gone. They wait until her touch feels cold, until her words feel distant, until her presence feels like an obligation rather than a choice. And then they panic. Then they try to fix things. Then they wake up, but by that point, it's already over. Action is not something you can negotiate. It's not something you can talk your way back into. It's something you have to earn. And you earn it by being a man who never stops moving forward. The moment you become stagnant, the moment you let yourself go, physically, mentally, emotionally, you begin to lose the very essence that made her want you in the first place. Women are not wired to stay attracted to men who have no drive. They are wired to follow strength. They are wired to follow men who are relentless. And when a man loses that, he loses everything. Stagnation is the killer of relationships. It is the silent destroyer of passion. It is the reason why so many women wake up one day and feel nothing for the man sleeping next to them. Because that man at some point stopped being a challenge. He stopped being the force that excited her, that inspired her, that made her look at him with admiration. He became predictable, he became ordinary, he became safe. And that is the worst thing a man can become. A woman doesn't want to feel like her man is safe. She wants to feel like he is dangerous in the best possible way, that he is capable, that he is unshakable, that he is the kind of man who, no matter what happens, will find a way to win. That kind of man keeps a woman's heart on fire. That kind of man never loses his woman. But the man who lets himself slip, who lets life beat him down, who stops fighting for something greater, he loses her in slow motion. He watches the light in her eyes fade. He watches the admiration turn into obligation. He watches as she becomes less and less present. And by the time he realizes what's happening, it's already too late. Most men don't understand this until it's too late. They think love is unconditional. They think that once a woman commits, she will always feel the same. But attraction is never permanent. It must be earned over and over again. A woman's love is a reflection of how she sees her man. And if she starts seeing him as weak, as stagnant, as uninspiring, she will never be able to force herself to feel the same way about him. She may try. She may tell herself that it's just a phase. She may even stay out of loyalty. But the truth is, her heart has already left. And nothing is more painful than watching a woman stay with you out of duty rather than desire. A man's greatest mistake is thinking he can keep a woman's love without keeping his own fire alive. The minute he stops growing, the minute he stops challenging himself, the minute he starts choosing comfort over purpose, he is setting the stage for his own downfall. Because a woman does not love a man for what he says. She loves him for what he represents. And when he stops being a man who commands his own life, she stops feeling anything for him. And the worst part? He will never see it coming. He will assume she is just changing. He will blame her for being distant, for not being the same. He won't realize that it was his stagnation that made her change, that it was his own lack of ambition that made her slowly pull away. Attraction is not about words. It is not about gifts or sweet gestures or promises. It is about who you are as a man. It is about how you move through the world. It is about whether or not you are still the man who wakes up every morning and demands more from himself. Because the moment you stop demanding more, the moment you become predictable, weak, uninspiring, you start becoming invisible to the woman who once couldn't take her eyes off you. And once a woman stops seeing you, you are already gone. And often, when we have this, a woman cannot love a man she does not respect. Respect is the foundation of attraction, the fuel of desire, the force that keeps her drawn to him year after year. The moment respect fades, love begins to die. The moment she stops looking up to him, she starts looking away. The moment she no longer admires him, she starts questioning why she is even there. A man who loses his woman's respect has already lost her heart. She may still stay, she may still talk, she may still sleep next to him, but deep inside she is already gone. She no longer sees him as a force, as a leader, as someone who inspires her. She sees him as another weight to carry, another burden to manage, another voice she no longer wants to hear. And when a woman reaches that point, nothing can bring her back. Respect is not given. It is not handed out freely. It is earned through action, through presence, through the unshakable strength of a man's mind and soul. A woman respects a man who commands himself, a man who does not need permission to move, a man who stands so firm in his power that nothing and no one can shake him. She respects a man who is disciplined, who is focused, who is always reaching for something greater than himself. The mistake most men make is assuming that love is enough. They think that just because she said, "I love you," she will always feel the same. But love is just a feeling, and feelings are fragile. Feelings change. Feelings fade. A woman can love you today and feel nothing for you tomorrow if she stops respecting you. Love is built on respect, and the moment you lose that, no amount of words, gifts, or apologies will bring it back. She respects a man who holds himself to a higher standard, a man who refuses to let life make him soft, a man who is so locked into his purpose that he becomes untouchable. She respects a man who follows through, who does what he says, who does not make excuses, who does not break under pressure. She respects a man who is decisive, who does not hesitate, who moves through life with certainty, who walks into a room and commands attention without saying a word. She does not respect a man who complains, who waits for permission, who allows fear to dictate his life. She does not respect a man who lets himself go, who stops growing, who stops challenging himself. She does not respect a man who breaks under her emotional tests, who folds under pressure, who apologizes for things he shouldn't be apologizing for. She does not respect a man who needs validation more than he needs purpose. She might not tell you this outright, but she feels it. She feels when you hesitate. She feels when you doubt yourself. She feels when you start chasing her approval instead of standing firm in your own power. And every time she senses weakness, something inside her shifts. She may not even realize it at first, but the attraction starts to fade. The admiration begins to weaken. The excitement starts to disappear. A woman craves a man she can look up to. A man whose presence makes her feel safe, makes her feel grounded, makes her feel like she is standing beside something unbreakable. She wants to be with a man who does not need her to feel whole. A man who can walk away if necessary. A man who is so driven, so self-assured, so locked into his mission that her love is a privilege, not a requirement. She will test you not because she wants to break you, but because she needs to know if you are real. She needs to know if you are the man you claim to be. She needs to feel your strength, your resolve, your unshakable nature, and if you fail those tests, if you react with insecurity, with desperation, with weakness, she will feel the shift instantly. She will lose trust in you. She will lose faith in you. She will lose respect for you. And when a woman loses respect for a man, everything about her changes. The way she looks at him, the way she speaks to him, the way she touches him. The spark fades, the warmth disappears. She stops wanting to be close to him. She stops craving his presence. She starts feeling trapped instead of cherished. A woman will love a man who is imperfect. A woman will love a man who makes mistakes. A woman will love a man who falls and gets back up. But a woman will never love a man she does not respect. Once respect is gone, it does not return. Once she sees him as weak, it does not matter how much she once loved him, how much history they have, how much she wanted it to work. She will not force herself to feel what is no longer there. Most men realize this too late. They spend years focusing on love, on romance, on trying to please her, trying to keep her happy, but they forget the foundation. They forget that without respect, love means nothing. They forget that attraction is built on admiration, and admiration is built on strength. They forget that a woman's deepest desire is to be with a man she can trust, a man who will not fold, a man who will never let himself become anything less than the greatest version of himself. She respects a man who walks away from what does not serve him. She respects a man who sets boundaries and enforces them. She respects a man who does not beg, who does not cling, who does not break his own rules just to keep the peace. She respects a man who would rather be alone than be disrespected. A man who values his own self-worth above any relationship. A man who respects himself commands respect from others. A man who respects himself does not tolerate mediocrity, does not accept weakness, does not lower his standards just to be liked. A man who respects himself is not afraid to say no, to walk away, to demand more from life. And a woman will always respect a man who moves with that kind of certainty. But the moment a man compromises himself, the moment he starts tolerating disrespect, the moment he starts explaining himself, justifying himself, seeking approval instead of standing firm, he loses her. She may not leave right away. She may not even realize what's happening at first. But the attraction will fade, the desire will disappear, the fire will go out. And when that happens, no amount of love will save it. Because love is not enough. Love without respect is just obligation. Love without respect is just routine. Love without respect is just an empty shell of what it used to be. A man must always protect his respect first. Not his love, not his relationship, his respect. Because once that is gone, everything else follows. And when a woman no longer respects her man, she is already gone. A woman falls in love with a man because of how he makes her feel, but over time she falls out of love because of what he allows himself to become. In the beginning, she saw something in him, something powerful, something different, something that made her heart race and her soul wake up. She was drawn to his confidence, his energy, his ability to stand firm in who he was. She felt safe in his presence, not because he gave her constant reassurance, but because he didn't need reassurance himself. He was solid. He was unshakable. He was a man she could admire. But time is the great revealer. It shows who a man really is, whether his strength is real or just an act, whether his confidence is built on something solid or if it crumbles under pressure. Many men, once they get the woman, stop being the man who attracted her in the first place. They stop pushing themselves, they stop leading, they start following. And the moment a woman feels like she is leading a man instead of being led by him, the dynamic shifts forever. She begins to feel the weight of it. She begins to feel the burden of making all the decisions, of holding everything together, of being the one who has to keep things exciting. And slowly, that excitement she once felt for him begins to fade. She doesn't want to feel this way. She doesn't want to lose attraction. She fights it. She tries to hold on. She tries to make herself feel what she used to feel. But a woman cannot force herself to be drawn to a man she no longer admires. The problem is most men don't see this happening. They assume everything is fine because nothing dramatic is changing on the surface. But attraction does not die in a moment. It dies in silence, in the small details, in the way she stops looking at him with admiration, in the way she stops craving his touch, in the way she starts to feel more like his mother than his lover. And the worst part, she resents him for it. She resents the fact that she has to take charge. She resents the fact that he no longer excites her. She resents the fact that he is making her feel something she does not want to feel. She wanted to love him. She wanted to stay attracted to him. But a woman cannot desire a man she feels stronger than. A woman cannot respect a man she has to carry. A woman cannot crave a man who has stopped making her feel like a woman. She starts testing him, not because she wants to fight, but because she desperately wants to feel something real from him. She pokes, she provokes, she pushes, hoping to see if there is still a man inside of him. She hopes he will stand up. She hopes he will show her he is still the leader, still the force, still the man she fell for. But most men fail these tests miserably. They become defensive. They become weak. They start apologizing, explaining, over-explaining. They try to fix things by being softer, by being more agreeable, by giving her more of what she doesn't want. And in doing so, they prove exactly what she feared, that he is no longer the man she needs him to be. A woman does not want to lead in a relationship. She wants to trust. She wants to surrender to a man who is so grounded, so certain, so powerful in his presence that she feels safe letting go. She wants to be with a man who does not crumble under pressure, who does not need her to tell him what to do, who does not look to her for validation like a child looking up to his mother for approval. The moment a man becomes dependent on a woman for his sense of worth, he has lost everything. The moment he asks for her permission to be strong, he has already failed. A man must be strong with or without her. He must be certain even when she is uncertain. He must be grounded even when she is emotional. He must be the one thing in her life that is unshakable, because if he is not, she will slowly stop trusting him. And when a woman stops trusting a man, she stops desiring him. She may still care about him, she may still love him in some way, but her body will reject him, her heart will close to him, her energy will shift, she will begin to pull away emotionally and physically without even realizing it. And one day, he will look at her and wonder why the woman who once adored him now seems cold, distant, indifferent. And the truth is painful, but it is simple. A woman wants a man who can lead her, not in a controlling way, not in a forceful way, but in a way that makes her feel safe. She wants to feel like she can let go in his presence, like she can trust his direction, like she can relax into her femininity because he is so unwavering in his masculinity. She does not want a man who follows her around like a lost puppy. She does not want a man who agrees with her just to keep the peace. She does not want a man who tiptoes around her emotions instead of standing firm in his truth. Most men don't understand this until it's too late. They think being a good guy is enough. They think making her happy is enough. They think love is enough. But love without leadership is weak. Love without direction is aimless. Love without a strong man behind it is just comfort, not desire. A woman may appreciate comfort, but comfort does not make her heart race. Comfort does not make her crave a man. Comfort does not ignite passion. She does not want to be comfortable with her man. She wants to be electrified by him. She wants to feel like she is with someone who demands more from life, more from himself, more from the world. And when a man stops demanding more, when he stops leading with strength, when he stops being the force that moves forward no matter what, he starts losing her. The most dangerous thing a man can do in a relationship is lose his edge. Become predictable. Become soft. Become a man who reacts instead of acts. A woman cannot trust a man who does not trust himself. She cannot follow a man who has no direction. She cannot surrender to a man who hesitates, doubts himself, or seeks her approval more than he seeks his purpose. And the hard truth? Once she starts losing trust, there is no turning back. She will try. She will tell herself it's just a phase. She will try to reignite the fire. She will give hints, warnings, subtle clues that something is missing. But if he does not wake up, if he does not see what is happening, if he does not reclaim his strength and direction, she will reach a point where she feels nothing for him. And when that moment comes, nothing can bring her back. Because at that point, it's not just that she doesn't love him anymore. It's that she no longer sees him as a man. A woman does not wake up one day and suddenly decide to stop loving her man. It is not a single moment, not one mistake, not one fight. It is a slow, silent erosion of emotion, a gradual dying of the fire, an accumulation of tiny disappointments that eventually form an unbreakable wall between them. She does not leave physically at first. She leaves emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and by the time a man notices it, by the time he feels the distance, by the time he senses the coldness in her touch, she has already been gone for months, maybe even years. She starts seeing him differently, not as the man who once made her heart race, but as a shadow of the person she once admired. His words lose their power. His presence no longer excites her. His touch feels forced, like an obligation rather than a desire. She does not hate him, but she no longer craves him. She does not despise him, but she no longer respects him. And once respect is gone, love has no foundation to stand on. She looks at him and sees a man who has let himself go. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. She sees a man who has stopped fighting for more, who has settled into mediocrity, who has lost the fire that once made him so attractive. She sees a man who has become comfortable, and comfort is the death of attraction. The moment a man stops pushing himself, the moment he stops growing, the moment he stops demanding more from life, she starts feeling trapped instead of cherished. She once felt lucky to be with him. She once looked at him with pride, with admiration, with an unshakable attraction that made her body react every time he entered the room. But now, she feels nothing. She does not want to feel this way. She fights it. She tries to remind herself of the good times. She tells herself that maybe it's just a phase, but the truth is undeniable. She is no longer in love with the man he has become. He is still there physically, but he is no longer the leader, no longer the force, no longer the man who made her feel something deeper than just routine. He has become predictable. He has become passive. He has become safe. And a woman does not desire safety. She desires strength. She does not want a man who just goes through the motions. She wants a man who is driven, hungry, alive. A man who wakes up every morning with fire in his soul. A man who does not just exist, but dominates his existence. She watches him settle into routines that drain the life out of him. He comes home and does the same things every day, follows the same patterns, makes the same excuses for why he is too tired, too busy, too stressed. He talks about the things he wants to do, but never moves toward them. He talks about what he used to be, but he is no longer that man, and she feels it. She feels the difference between the man he was in the man he has become. She is ready to go where he has gone, and she resents him for it. She loses attraction because he has lost his edge. He no longer makes her feel like she is with someone who is going somewhere. She does not feel like she is in the presence of a man who challenges himself, who embraces discomfort, who is always evolving into something greater. Instead, she feels like she is dragging him. She feels like she has to inspire him, like she has to push him, like she has to remind him to be a man. And nothing kills desire faster than a woman feeling like she has to mother the man she is supposed to admire. She starts noticing other men not because she is looking for someone else, but because her nature craves strength. She craves certainty. She craves a man who stands for something, who lives with purpose, who does not settle. And when she sees that energy in another man, when she feels that presence, when she sees the fire that her man once had but is now lost, she starts questioning everything. She starts wondering why she no longer feels that way about her own man. She starts realizing that what she once loved about him is now missing. And she resents him for it. She will try to warn him in her own way. She will start arguments over small things, hoping he will wake up. She will tell him she feels different, hoping he will change. She will test him, hoping to feel something real from him. But if he does not listen, if he dismisses it, if he assumes things will just fix themselves over time, he will lose her forever. And the worst part? She won't even feel guilty about it. Because in her mind, she gave him chances, she tried to tell him, she tried to help him see it, she tried to hold on. But when a woman loses love for a man, it is not just a decision, it is a biological shift. Her body stops responding to him, her emotions disconnect, her mind detaches. And once that process is complete, there is no coming back. There is no more. A man who does not continue to evolve is a man who will be left behind. A man who stops chasing greatness is a man who will stop inspiring the woman he loves. A man who settles for comfort over challenge, ease over growth, predictability over power, is a man who will eventually find himself lying next to a woman who no longer loves him, who no longer wants him, who no longer sees him as the man he once was. And the harsh truth? It was his fault. Because she did not leave him for another man. She did not leave him for some temporary excitement. She did not leave him because she was ungrateful or disloyal. She left because he stopped being the man she fell in love with. A man must never stop growing. He must never become soft. He must never believe that love alone is enough to keep a woman's attraction. Because it isn't. A woman loves a man who leads, who conquers, who never stops demanding more from himself. A woman stays in love with a man who remains unpredictable, who keeps her guessing, who keeps her excited. A woman desires a man who makes her feel alive, who reminds her of what it feels like to be with someone who is constantly ascending, constantly becoming more. But the moment he stops, the moment he gets comfortable, the moment he assumes she will always love him just because she once did, he has already lost her. And when a woman truly falls out of love, when she truly disconnects, when she truly looks at him and sees nothing but a man she used to feel something for, there is nothing in the world that can bring her back. The greatest mistake a man can make is believing that love is permanent, that once he has won a woman's heart, he can stop being the man who made her fall in love in the first place, that he can stop leading, growing, evolving, pushing, thriving. But love does not live in stillness. Love is motion. Love is momentum. And the moment a man stops moving, stops chasing greatness, stops being the fire that keeps the relationship alive, he begins losing her. She will not leave all at once. She will stay. She will fight it. She will try to remind herself of the good, but attraction is not a choice. Respect is not a choice. A woman does not decide to love a man. Her body and soul respond to the kind of man he chooses to be. And if he becomes weak, predictable, uninspired, and complacent, her nature will reject him. She will wake up one day and feel nothing. No spark, no excitement, no passion. And by the time he notices, by the time he finally feels the coldness in her touch, the distance in her eyes, the silence in her heart, it is already too late. This is the brutal truth no one tells men, that a woman does not stay in love because of memories. She does not stay in love because of obligation. She stays in love because the man she looks at today is still a man she admires, respects, and craves. The answer is simple, but most men refuse to see it. Never stop being the man she fell for. Never stop chasing your highest self. Never stop living with purpose, power, and relentless ambition. Because the moment you stop being that man, you will lose her. And when she is gone, you will look back and realize she didn't leave you, you lost her.